Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 53 of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast, coming to you from very chilly February, Minnesota, the month of seasonal affect disorder, I guess, huh, Troy?
Yep, I hate the state. I'm ready to move. Every time I walk outside, I'm freezing. I'm freezing all the time. The ice rinks are cold. I'm done. Ready to go.
I always love this month when you go to start your car and your car's like, why are you doing this to me? As it's trying to turn over and get going. This is the 1 month in Minnesota that's real tough. At least it's warm where we're podcasting. And I do have my glass of whiskey, so hey, life isn't too bad. Troy, what's your favorite website?
Oh, I just found it. HockeyCardsGongshow.com. Brand new.
HockeyCardsGongshow.com? That must be a brand new website.
I think it is.
That's crazy. We do have a new website. It is at HockeyCardsGongshow.com. It's crazy the domain name was available, huh? Well, you thought there'd have been a big fight over that one.
Well, you think someone would have sniped it knowing we had a show. They're like, all right, suckers, you have a show, you don't have a website. I'm going to take the name and then make you pay for it.
We've owned it all the time, Troy. I've had it.
Oh, have we?
I've had it tucked away.
Oh, yes, we have. That's right, we have.
Main reason for us starting a site is, if maybe you've noticed or not, but there hasn't been a great place to go and see, I don't know what you call it, like the curated collection maybe of our Hockey Cards 101 episodes or the Masterclass series that people seem to be liking. And we want a hub, I guess, for the Gong Show. So it's version 1 of the website. Be nice. You can go there, listen to the podcast, check all of our updated social media posts, see all the 101 or Masterclass episodes, visit our partner page and link to all their great services. So go ahead, check it out. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. So again, HockeyCardsGongshow.com. Also, another reminder, again, this Sunday night, I will be co-hosting and co-hosting is putting it pretty mildly, or generously, I should say, with Jeremy Lee on his YouTube channel, Sports Card Live, the end of the PWCC weekly auction where we cover all the hockey cards in that auction. We did our second show last Sunday. Did you watch, Troy, or no?
I did. I didn't watch it live, but I watched it afterwards. I like reading the chat, too, because I'm just waiting for the one that says,
"Yeah,
Josh, you suck. Hockey Cards Gong Show podcast sucks."
Why are you with this idiot, Jeremy? Okay, so I have to tell this quick little story. By sheer coincidence, right? This was not planned. When Jeremy starts going through the auction, he always starts in the vintage, and this is where I get most nervous because I am learning. I'm a learner, Troy, when it comes to vintage hockey cards and getting better, but still not confident enough to lead a conversation like Jeremy does on a live show about the PWCC Weekly. And so normally as he's going through card by card, and he'll talk about it and he'll tell everything about the card, and then I can sense that he wants to turn it over to me. And 9 times out of 10, I'm like, just go. Don't stop, right? Because what am I going to say? Well, so anyways, he opens the page and you get to the oldest cards first, and there, about 6 cards in, is not the one we talked about last week, the autograph, but just a different 1933 Worldwide Gum Howie Moritz. So I just done all the research for the last podcast, told the whole story, and immediately I'm like, yes, right? I'm going to be able to throw some knowledge bombs at this Howie Moritz, and finally I'm pumped for going through all the old pre-war cards. So he goes through a couple older ones first, gets to it, stops and talks a little for 10, 15 seconds and is ready to move on and go. And I had to jump in. I'm like, whoa, Jeremy, right? There's no way I'm letting this pass me by. It ain't happening. So I did get in my Howie Moritz info from the 1933 Worldwide Gum. So felt good about that. Contributed to the vintage part of the episode. That was fun. I'll continue to work to get better and better at my vintage knowledge. But yeah, I just thought that was kind of funny experience. So that is 8:30 Central this Sunday night. Again, the hockey card wrap up for the PWCC weekly auction. One other kind of note is, now that it's February, we do have planned for some time this month, and we're actually working on it, our next Hockey Cards 101 episode. This one's going to focus on EPAC. We may or may not have some help from some people that might run EPAC on that, we'll just say. And looking forward to that. So that'll be sometime this month. And then we're also working on a couple more master classes because those have gone over very swimmingly as far as feedback that we've got. Last note, Troy, before I turn it over to you, is the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast is a Patreon podcast. That means that we rely on the support of listeners like yourself to help us cover expenses, continue to produce more and better hockey card content, and help us even a small way to fund initiatives to grow the hockey hobby. Right now, today, for $5 a month, take advantage of our out of 99 support level tier. Be one of the first 99 supporters of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. Get access to our Discord server. We will also do a shout out on next episode. And if you want to give us a little plug, like if you're a breaker or seller, you have an eBay account, you want people to check out Instagram, you're hunting down certain cards, we'd be happy to do a little plug for you there. Really easy to do. You can either go to hockeycardsgongshow.com, Troy, and there's a link to our Patreon there. Or you go to the Patreon website, patreon.com, search for Hockey Cards Gongshow. There's a link in the show description for the podcast app you're listening to us right now. Also in our link tree on social media, there's a link there. So we've not hidden it. It's definitely there if you want to go check it out. Okay, Troy, what's the game plan for today?
All right. Game plan for today is we begin with the greatest player to wear number 53. Then it's on to a little segment about the biggest gainers and losers season to date in hockey cards. Then we do our social roundup segment, followed by hobby news. And then Josh, we have another product release.
We do.
Synergy is out, and we will talk about it. So I'm actually loving the release. It's coming all the time. I feel like it's Christmas every day.
I know, it's pretty awesome, dude.
Yeah, I love it. Then we take a look at the PWCC weekly auction preview, and then it's on to finish with listener mailbag. Let's start hockey's most famous 53. Per the Hockey Writer's greatest player to wear number 53 article, it is Jeff Skinner. We got a current guy. I like it. Wasn't a lot to choose from, but we got one. And he's playing right now. So this is kind of interesting because it's always unique doing a kind of look back at a guy's history when he's still kind of playing. All right.
The history is still being written, some might say,
history
right?
is still being written. And this guy, I'm actually fascinated by kind of the research on this guy. It was kind of interesting. He is a left wing / center, currently active player with the Buffalo Sabres. Our favorite team, I guess, because Buffalo is just the most exciting team in the league, I think. They got lots of great young talent.
You could make a case they're the most exciting hobby team, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Jeff Skinner has played in as of when I did all the research a day ago, has played in 899 regular season games over a 13-season NHL career. Started his career playing 8 seasons with the Carolina Hurricanes, has played the past 5 seasons with the Buffalo Sabres. He is a one-time, obviously, Calder Trophy winner for his rookie year of 2010-2011. He was also on the all-rookie team that year. That's his awards and accomplishment, but still more to come, maybe. His current regular season stats, 318 goals, 274 assists for 592 points. Now, this is where Troy got bogged down way too long, and it was so dumb. But I go to Hockey Reference, I pull up the player, I'm looking, okay, I got his regular season stats, now I need to do the playoff stuff. And I thought Hockey Reference was broke, because there's always a section that shows playoff stats. And I'm like, what is going on? I go to a different player, the section's there. Go back to it. Took me way too long to realize, and this might be a Gong Show first, Jeff Skinner has never been on an NHL team that has made the playoffs. So he has no playoff stats. Yeah, that's very impressive. I just thought to myself, I'm like, this is amazing, but I guess not unheard of. I'm sure there's a couple other players out there. He currently holds the record for most regular season games played without a playoff appearance for an active NHL player right now. And he is second all time to Ron Hainsey's 907 game record, which if Skinner keeps playing, he should beat that maybe next week or in 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah. So I spent way too much time on that, but it was kind of crazy. I just couldn't fathom that there was a guy, especially playing for Carolina and Buffalo. I mean, I could think maybe Buffalo, but Carolina I thought made the playoffs at least one of those couple of years when he was on them, but nope, I was way off. So coming into the NHL, Skinner was known as a pure goal scorer. However, he has failed to live up to those expectations for most of his career. Seems like one of those players who's always on the cusp of breaking out and being a star, but either struggled performance-wise or got derailed by injuries. His career high in points is 63, and he's actually accomplished this 4 times in his career. So he gets that 63-point total, and it kind of plateaus or something happens, and he kind of regresses a little bit.
Do you think after 13 years, people will still be like with Laffy? Like, it's coming. It's coming out. The last month, he's been really good. He's turning the corner.
And the Laffy fans are going to have to,
Yeah.
First it's Ovechkin, now it's Laffy. Yeah, so and Skinner's career high in goals was 40 goals in the 2018-19 season with Buffalo. So you can obviously see he has talent. He can score. It's just like it's never been all put together until maybe this year. So currently he's 30 years old. And his current season has been going absolutely fantastic, actually. He currently has 20 goals, 30 assists for 50 points in 46 games played. On pace to blow away the 63-point career high he had 4 times. He's on pace for 89 points,
wow,
which is obviously, like I just said, it would be a career high. Hopefully it keeps going well because that would be cool just to see him kind of get to that cusp of 100 points where some people thought he might get to eventually through his career. Now, remember, he's on an exciting Buffalo team. He's currently on the first line, playing left wing with Tage Thompson and Alex Tuck. Pretty good line mates. He's also on the first power play unit, so he'll have plenty opportunities to keep improving his point totals this year.
One thing to think about, too, is not just being out there with Tuck and Tage the Rage, but there's a good chance that someone on the blue line is pretty offensive, too, with Power and Deline.
Yep.
Right. So, yeah, it's a good situation.
Yeah, so that's kind of the rundown on Skinner. It's, 30-year-old, and now he's having his breakout career. So, Josh, if you got to take a guess, a 30-year-old having a breakout career, how do you think his rookie card values are going to be?
I'm guessing nobody cares.
Yep, you would be right. His rookie card is a 2010 Upper Deck Young Guns number 211. Let's start with the baseline. A year ago, this card was trading in the $20 to $30 range for the PSA 10. Currently, the PSA 10 has a pop of 171 with a 71% gem rate, and it goes for about $50.
What's up?
It's up. It's definitely up.
Yeah.
BGS 9.
Money.
Yeah, BGS 9.5 has a pop of 303, and it goes for $30 to $40. So that's your Jeff Skinner rundown. Obviously, good player having a breakout season. Hopefully it continues. Obviously, no hobby love, but I'm pretty fascinated with his just byline and kind of his career and how it's been progressing. And it's good to see some old man, 30-year-old man having a good season. So I hope he keeps it up.
Yeah, old 30. That's funny how sports work. All right, Troy, we are giving Who's Hot and the Struggle Bus a break.
Well, Struggle Bus needs repairs. It's been running constantly for, 4 months, maybe 5 months. I mean, that thing needs a cleaning, an oil change, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I heard, too, that the seat was dented that Mo Sider was sitting in for 4 months.
Here we go. Oh, man.
So they had to swap that out, too. Well, it is the reason, I guess, why we're giving it a break is not a lot of teams playing right now, and we thought it could just use a break anyways. But given we're it's a little bit past mid-season, of course, but with the All-Star break, it provides another natural time to think about what has happened to this point and look forward a little bit. And we thought we'd take a look at some of the biggest gainers and losers in the hockey card world through the first part of the NHL season. And we'll start on the positive because we're glass half full guys.
Yep, we're good.
We're positive people. And we're going to start with our gainers. And the first guy, Troy, is Josh Morrissey. He has not been on the Struggle Bus. He's been in Who's Hot at least once. Real quickly, he's a 27-year-old Jets defenseman having a heck of a year with 10 goals, 43 assists for 53 points in 52 games played. Haven't checked lately, but I don't think this is a math show, Troy. I'm sitting here tabulating, though, as we're speaking, and I think so. Wait, 53 points, 52 games. I'm pretty sure that's more than a point per game.
I think you're right. Barely. Just barely.
Another kind of older guy, right? 27, having a little breakout year. You know what sucks, though? Wouldn't it be cool if Josh Morrissey's dad was Morrissey the singer?
That would be awesome. It's actually it was the first thing I thought of when you read the name Josh Morrissey. I thought of the singer. Or now we got to make sure. Last time we actually, this is the second time we've mentioned Morrissey the singer.
It's the name of the singer, but it's also the name of the band. I'm pretty sure on that fact.
No, he was the lead singer for the Smiths, if I remember right.
Oh,
someone had to correct me because I didn't say that. I might have said the wrong group or something, but I hope I got it right that time. And I wasn't the biggest Morrissey guy. You know, obviously, if you follow him, he likes to say some pretty interesting things. But anyways, yeah. Second time Morrissey, the singer, has been brought up on the show.
The miracle. All right, Josh Morrissey, the hockey player, is a 2016 Young Gun PSA 10, pop 48. Wow, not a lot of love there. Last sold on January 27th, Troy, for $130. That is up a whopping 209% in the past 3 months because at the beginning of the season, of course, nobody cared.
Nobody cared.
It makes him one of the biggest gainers, though, since the start of the season. So, Josh Morrissey, round of applause there. Next big gainer is Tristan Jarry, the Penguins goaltender. Kind of having a little bit of an up and down season, and mainly around health. I think he's missed the last 3 starts heading into the All-Star break, too. When he's playing, has pretty good numbers, like number one goalie type numbers. I think he's 16-5-5 with a 2.65 goals against and a .921 save percentage. It's just the main issue, Troy, goes back to that old adage, right? Where the best ability is availability when it comes to professional athletes. Can't seem to stay healthy. That fact, Troy, has not stopped some collectors from swooping in, grabbing up his Young Guns, and driving the price up a little bit. His 2016 Young Gun PSA 10, top 185, last sold for $100 to even Steven, which is up a very healthy 144% in the past 3 months, making Tristan Jarry one of the biggest gainers so far this season. Now, can you trust anyone first name Tristan?
I don't know. I can't trust Pittsburgh goalie. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
This one really surprised me. I did not know this, and that's a very interesting one. We've kind of been harping on goalies, but then Tristan Jarry just seems like he falls below the radar of that top echelon. But that's interesting how he's been gaining this year.
I think part of the formula to being one of the biggest gainers is you had to have started the season in the lowest of lows, depth of depths, right? So then any sort of moderate sales and kind of makes your percentage go high. Now we're getting kind of the obvious guys. So our next guy is Jason Robertson, J-Rob, as we call in the business. He's one of the 2 probably real big breakout stars of the year. Through 51 games played, he has 33 goals, 33 assists for 66 points. He's both a giver and a finisher, Troy.
Equally. He does both equally.
Things went kind of bananas for J-Rob in December, as it seems 85% of the hobby just realized he was a good player for the first time and tried to buy every one of his cards. Has been cooling off a bit lately, but his 2020 Young Gun PSA 10 pop 566 is still up, Troy, 88% in the past 3 months. Last selling for $328 US on January 31. My word of caution on this Young Guns card is to watch out for the pop count. I think this is one that is already up pretty significantly, and we could see more and more cards coming through because it is 2020. I think the print runs were a lot higher than maybe in the 2016, 2017, 2018. So I'd be nervous about the pop count on that card. Our last guy for biggest gainers is Tage the Rage. Tage Thompson is probably the number 2 breakout star so far this season. Been a smidge better than J-Rob Troy so far in the year, where in 2 less games, so 49 games played, he has 34 goals and 34 assists for 68 points. Robertson had 33 goals and 33 assists. His 2018 Young Gun PSA 10 popped 98 with a 26% gem rate.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's like a Trevor Zegras there. So again, comparing him to J-Rob, you got 98 to 566 in climbing with the 26% gem rate going back to 2017, where I don't think there is many kind of laying around in places. Thompson's probably a little bit of safer bet from just a population count perspective. So it's a 2017 Young Gun PSA 10. I might have said 2018. Sorry about that. Last sold for $560 US on January 30th. So just what would that be? A couple days ago now. This was selling trade for about $150 at the start of the season. So it's up a sizable 273%. I don't see dramatic pop count increase. Yeah, this is one I'm probably a little more interested in than J-Rob, just from a pure hockey card perspective. So those are the big gainers. Couple surprises, couple obvious, huh?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we all knew J-Rob and Tage Thompson would be on this list. That Tristan Jarry is the one that surprises me the most.
Yeah, I thought so as well. Okay, on to the biggest losers. First one is Gabe Velarde. This guy's been all over the place. He's been on Who's Hot. He's been on the Struggle Bus. So, Troy, we'll start with his 2020 Young Guns Raw. It's down about 71%. He had a scorching start to the season. Everyone was calling it a comeback, and then he sort of fizzled out. So I think like current price on his Raw Young Guns like $3.74 US. It was selling for $20 in November. So it's come down pretty sizably since then, 71%. His 2020 Young Gun PSA 10 Pop 184 is also down a little bit less, 62% over the same time period. The roller coaster continues for Gabe Velarde. I just look at box scores a lot. I haven't seen him in the Kings box score for a while, so not too surprised by that.
Yeah, like he must be getting either benched or something because he hasn't played since the 14th.
Is he hurt?
Yeah, he might be hurt or something's going on.
Okay.
I don't know. I have to look that up. Yeah. But that doesn't stop him from being one of the biggest losers so far this year.
Speaking of getting hurt, Nick Robertson is another one of our big losers.
Oh, geez. There's going to be a fight in that household.
I know. I was just thinking about family get-togethers. Probably a little awkward right now. Right? You think that J-Rob kind of throws it in his face. Like, your hockey card values suck, man. See, Mom was right. I was always going to be better than you. His 2020 Young Gun PSA 10 popped 616. So his Young Guns has a higher population than his brothers. Kind of crazy. Less sold for $41 US. It's down 54% in the past 3 months. And Rob, that doesn't have the same ring as J-Rob, does it?
No.
Nicky R? No. Well, we'll just say Nick Robertson. Injured his shoulder, which is the pandemic of the NHL right now.
Yep.
And is out for the season. So probably not going to go up anytime soon. He only played 15 games so far this season. 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points, and he's out for the rest of the year. So 54% drop for Nick Robertson. Last guy on biggest losers, Capo Caco. 2019 Young Gun PSA 10 popped 231, last sold for 76 US. It's down 54% again in the last 3 months. I don't know, will he or maybe Laffy possibly get traded? As the Rangers might look to bring in like a Patrick Kane or someone like that in the trade deadline. So maybe he'll get a fresh start somewhere. Who knows? So far in the season, 9 goals, 14 assists for 23 points in 49 games played. He is still 21, so take that for what it is. But in his 4th full season, though.
Oh.
So he started early. First 3 seasons, he had 10, 9, and 7 goals. So roughly, 60% of the way through the year with 9 goals so far. He should probably have a season high for goals, but still is not putting him in the elite goal scoring category. Your biggest losers are Gabe Velarde, Nick Robertson, and Capo Caco. Any surprises there?
No, that sounds about right. I still hate that there's a Capo Caco and a Capo Kekkonen. I always get that's like the new Quinn Hughes, Jack Hughes thing.
Oh yeah,
I always get them mixed up because the one was on the Wild, like Capo Kekkonen.
He was our backup.
He was our backup for a while.
Where did he end up? Where is he now?
Oh, not Ottawa. That's Talbot. He is with the Sharks.
Okay, we're going to move on to a social roundup segment. We've had a lot of interesting stuff floating around the Gong Show Instagram and other social accounts, and thought there's a number of these that are pretty juicy and would be fun to talk about on the show. We're going to start with your guy, Troy Cole Caulfield. This is from our Instagram post the other day. So I think we all knew when he went down with the season-ending shoulder injury that his values would not remain on the uptick, right? That they're gonna go down a little bit. Has not taken long. He was injured on January 19th, and that night, Troy, his 2021 Young Gun PSA 10 popped 1,090. That sold for $482 US. Having a great year, values on the rise. I mean, I think really kind of becoming that next, or could be the next hobby darling, and then of course he gets hurt. So a mere 12 days later, as of January 31st, when we created our post, his last sale on his 2021 Young Gun PSA 10 was down to $337. That is a 30% decrease in 12 days. You surprised it happened that fast, or no?
No, I'm not. I think any injury to one of these young, especially with him, for how tiny and diminutive he is, and it's plus his pop count's getting huge, and I think all that just made a perfect storm to see a big decrease in a short amount of time.
Well, one thing I thought of is this is another great reminder that when it comes to investing in players or buying sports cards, there definitely is no such thing as a sure thing, right? Anything can happen. So everything was looking like deuces for Cole Caulfield, and then this happens and already down 30%. I'm also pretty confident, Troy, this is not going to be the bottom. We spent a lot of time this past offseason, and I'm sure we will again this offseason, and we've grown a lot since then. So maybe not a lot of folks that are listening right now have heard this message, but we are strong proponents of the off-season dip. It is a very real thing, and it's usually in the early to mid-July timeframe, right? And so it's just when kind of the depth of the midpoint of the NHL offseason where nobody's really thinking hockey, and so there's not as much interest in cards, of course. So given that he'll have already had, 5 months off before then where he hasn't played, I'm thinking it gets into the 250 range by then. Do you think that's realistic?
I'm saying 250 to 280 range.
I'm going to go on a limb, and I'm going to say we're going to do one of our off-season steals, and somebody's going to get this for either 150 or 175. It's not going to be a lot of sales, but someone's going to just snipe it. So write that down and get back to us in 6 months and see if I'm right. Any other thoughts on Cole Caulfield?
Nope, sucks that he got injured, but it happens, and now we'll just watch. This will be an interesting one to watch, though, because the superstar, a lot of hype, playing well. Prices were getting up there, and now he's injured, so it'll be interesting to watch. Plus, he's out for the season, too. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah. Did you see, though, how he could have maybe toughed it out, but since they were in the playoffs?
Yeah, they're saying, but man, that you never know with that stuff, especially how young he is. Like, the last thing you want to do is just wreck his career.
Well, I'm pretty sure the team was like, hey, there's this Connor Bedard kid. maybe get the surgery.
Yeah.
I'm guessing they were pretty supportive of that. Okay, on to the next topic. So we did a post today, which is February 1st, on looking back at January, Troy, at total Young Guns sold. And this is per the Card Ladder sales history. So in January of 2023, last month, 19,890 total Young Guns were sold on secondary markets that Card Ladder tracks, and they track a lot of them. That's an average of 642 per day. And here's what really surprised me, an increase of 4,682 Young Gun sales over last January, so January of 2022. We're obviously in an up and down market, Troy, and tracking Young Gun sales is not the end all be all of trying to pinpoint hockey hobby health. We get that. I do think it's an important indicator, and I'll take it, frankly, at this point. If 6,000 or 4,682 more Young Guns were bought this January than last January, I don't know how that's a bad thing.
No, I think it's a good indicator. I can't tell you why. I don't know. Maybe it's because more boxes are being ripped because people got Christmas money. I don't know. But it's definitely a good thing to see. It's better than seeing it go the other way. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, there's a million variables you have to look at with this. And I don't believe Series 1, we could maybe check that real quick. Was Series 1 out in January of last year, or did it?
Oh, God. Let me look.
Because that could be a factor too, right? Given that we've had Series 1 2022 came out in November, things are getting a little ramped up a little bit. And we're starting to see a lot of Matty Beniers sales and some other guys too, where it might have just come out in maybe at the very end of December. Not sure how that plays a factor.
Yeah, 21-22 Series 1 came out in March.
Oh, so it wasn't out yet. So, that could be a little bit of a factor as well. But Again, it's not a bad thing when more hockey cards are being sold. Okay, next thing we looked at is players with the most cards sold in January. This is one of my favorite reports that we do every month. So we look at the top 25 hockey players with the most cards sold on the secondary markets, again, per the Card Ladder sales history, and post that to Instagram and Facebook. Not going to go through the whole list of 25, Troy. So if anyone wants to see it, go check out our Instagram, probably the easiest spot. Or it's also posted on hockeycardsgongshow.com.
Oh, you're using that new site, I see. Nice.
Yeah, we're pumping the new site. Well, here's the top 5. So number 1 is, I think we've tracked this for like 6 months now, and it's Wayne Gretzky. It's always been Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
It'll probably always be Wayne Gretzky. 3,311 cards sold. Number 2 was your guy, Troy, Connor McDavid. I wrote down Connor McDavis.
Nice.
Connor McDavid.
His evil twin.
Who's Connor McDavis? Connor McDavid had 2,150. Third was Olvi, 1,959. Then fourth, Troy, most hockey cards sold in January, none other than Cole Caulfield, 1,277. I don't think he'll be fourth when we look at the February report. This is going to be another way that his injury and his lack of just being in the spotlight and hobby hype is probably going to wane a little bit. You agree with that?
Oh, definitely.
And then number 5 is Sidney Crosby, who sold 1,270 cards in the month of January. So again, top 5, Gretzky, Connor McDavid, Ovechkin, Cole Caulfield, and Sidney Crosby. Some other notes from the top 25 list. Biggest climbers on the list in January. For your boy Connor Bedard went from unranked to number 16 with 792 cards sold, which to me is super impressive because, again, what card does this guy have, right? There's some WHL cards, there's some Team Canada cards from Upper Deck, and he is already when you look at like the legendary players that are below him, it's kind of funny that how many cards Connor Bedard is selling right now.
Well, I don't even know who this Connor Bedard you talk about, because in the show notes, you must have his evil twin. You wrote down Connor Bedcard. So auto check or spell check has reared its ugly head, it looks like, in our show notes this month or this episode.
Troy, who has greater long-term potential? Connor McDavis or Connor Bedcard?
Brilliant.
At least we're entertained.
But yeah, anyways, on the Bedard train, the hype's getting there. He's got a limited set of cards out there, but it's not like you can't find them. They're definitely available, and it's just going to keep growing and growing and growing, I think.
Okay, here, like, serious Connor Bedard question.
Sorry, before you ask that, I saw a post. I was on Instagram. I think it was 1929 Hockey or put it out. There's a game, I think, in Calgary between, I think it's Calgary Stampede and then Bedard's team. It is sold out, the stadium. 19,000 some seats. It's sold out. They're like, the Flames have only sold out like 3 games this year. So it's pretty crazy, like the hype around him.
All right, here's my serious Bedard question. So we said Wayne Gretzky had the most cards sold in January, 3,311. When series whatever comes out with the Connor Bedard Young Guns in the following months, is that, do you think, the most realistic upcoming chance to unseat the great one from the number 1 spot in player sales? Like, could you see 2,500 even Young Guns being sold in 1 month?
I don't know. Maybe. I think it's the best chance you have to unseat Gretzky for a month. Yeah. But yeah, it could happen. I don't know if it will, but it could. I mean, the way the hype and everything just keeps growing around him, we'll see. Okay,
the next biggest climber on our top 25 for January is Matty Beniers. He climbed up to 8 spots from number 15 to number 8 with 978 cards sold. So I think a lot of the Cole Caulfield steam is going to go, my prediction is it's going to be spread out between Jack Hughes and Matty Beniers. What it feels like. And speaking of Jack Hughes, he's up 6 spots from number 19 to 13 with 861 cards sold. And we've already got some feedback on our social post too that, well, I can't believe Jack Hughes doesn't sell more. If you had looked 2, 3, 4 months ago, he was selling 200 cards a month. So it is ramping up.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't had that kind of J-Rob or Tage Thompson breakthrough moment yet, hobby-wise, but kind of feels like the steam's building there. All right, we looked at the biggest climbers, Troy. Let's look at the largest drops in the top 25 list. Cale Makar, down 7 spots from number 10 to number 17 with 745 cards sold. Now here, the next 2 are pretty interesting. So J-Rob down 8 spots from number 4 in December. So he was in the Caulfield spot. Went from 4 to 12, 879 cards sold. And then Tage the Rage, the biggest drop of the month, down 13 spots from number 9 to number 22 in January with 519 cards sold. It has not. There's still continued both playing super well. It's not a performance thing. It's, I think, for a 3 week span in December, it got just, the hoopla got out of hand.
Yeah, everyone found their cards in their boxes and sent them in.
So that's our players with the most cards sold in January, top 25 list. We're going to move on now to, this is the last one, Social Roundup. Yep. We did a post on a record wax sale, Troy. So on the 27th of January at Heritage Auctions, a sealed 6-box case of 2015 The Cup sold for a record $42,000 US. Its previous high was $39,600 set last July, so a slight increase from that. So each, in a 6-box case, each box contains one pack, or each tin, right? That's the correct terminology for the cup, contains one pack with 6 cards. So in this case, there's a total of 36 cards, 42 grand. But that comes out to $1,167 US per card. It's a lot of money.
I don't understand. I don't understand this at all. I'm so dumbfounded by this wax sale, but anyways, that's me.
Well, I think the one thing we can all agree on is do not open this case.
Yes, do not. I know that, I think you probably put this in your notes, that McDavid could be lurking there, just waiting for you to open it, but don't.
Yeah. The other thing that I think is, and this is just I don't know if it's a perceptive reaction or what, but I always think it's funny. So a sealed case of 2015 The Cup is what you're buying, right, is a brown cardboard box that's taped closed. So you have a $42,000 like Amazon box, essentially. It seems like not a lot of fun to own. And then I would be just terrified, like in the Logan Paul thing, right, where he bought the case and one of the boxes inside was like, I guess that's another reason not to open it. This one is not BBCE certified or whatever either. But yeah, what if there's G.I. Joe cards in it or something like that? I'm kind of with you. This is not something I would really desire to do. I think I'd rather have the card to look at. And to your point about the McDavid shirt, there's a chance there's a huge, and I think there's a couple like really big ones from the checklist that haven't been found yet. And that probably factors into the price. But we've watched a lot of product be open, and we've watched a fair amount of cup. There is a 90 to 95% chance you're getting murdered on this case if you open it. Just murdered. Like you have $12 cards that you're pulling, and you're paying well over $1,000 for those cards. So it would be a bad idea to open. I would have to like store it somewhere 110 miles from my house.
Oh yeah,
and not know where the key is, because
I would open it. I'd be a bonehead and open it.
I totally would. I would have 2 scotches one night, and we'd be Troy, we're going on a road trip. Then all the way home, be crying in my $130 worth of cards from my $42,000 box. So it is fascinating though, and sealed wax is a part of the hobby. So hey, we got to cover. Okay, so it's a social roundup. We're gonna just want to, before we move on to hobby news, make a quick mention for our friends and partner at Stand Up Displays. Remember, you can get a custom stand card or 2 or 3. We have 2 that will make displaying your cards at home or on your Facebook or Instagram accounts so much better. They have a fantastic product called Direct Print, where you just send them whatever image you want, and they print it right on the stand. We have a couple Gongshow stands we have made. Troy's getting a Pekka one created now too as we speak. Pretty quick turnaround, pretty cheap. If you don't want a custom stand, they have some pre-made ones, so you can get it for like some cities and like McDavid, Ovi, Crosby, etc. The best news of all, Troy, is that if you use the promo code GONGSHOW at checkout, you can save 10%. So you can go to standupdisplays.co, or Troy, if you wanted, you go to hockeycardsgongshow.com and go to our partner page and link to it there. Either or works just great. And order your stand, and then when you do get one and you start to post some photos with your favorite cards on them, make sure to tag us so that we can we're always curious and love to see what people design. I like looking at these stands. So, hobby news. All right, we're going to start with kind of a sad story. Of course, most people, I think, know at this point, Troy, that the legendary Blackhawks player, Bobby Hull, died on January 30th at the age of 84, so lived a long life. Guess that's a good news there. Hull played 23 seasons in the NHL, scored 610 goals, which is the 18th most all-time, Troy. He's a one-time Stanley Cup champion, 3 times Art Ross Trophy winner, which of course is awarded to the player that leads the league in points. 2 times Hart winner. And I thought this was kind of interesting. Him and it looks like Stan Mikita sort of pioneered curving the blade of their sticks.
I knew about Hall. I thought it was all Hall, but Mikita is interesting. Yeah, Hall used to have, if you ever see the pictures of his stick, it was ridiculous. It was so illegal. Like nowadays, it would be illegal, but it was crazy, the curve he had.
Yeah, so he's one of the first to do that. He also had some well-documented personal issues, and we're not going to go into, but you have to mention them, right? Multiple domestic violence accusations, some pro-Nazi comments he made to the Moscow Times. And, so I think, Troy, when it comes to Hull, for many collectors, it's going to be hard or impossible to separate his personal life from his NHL accomplishments. And this is just my perspective on this. Because of that, I don't think I'd ever buy any of his cards from an investment standpoint. If I just loved the Blackhawks or was a big fan of his game or how he played or his contributions to the NHL and I wanted to PC him, then that's fine. But I kind of feel like it's sort of like the Republican-Democrat thing, right?
Yeah.
If you're, it's like half of your audience is not automatically not going to be a buyer because however they feel about his personal life. And so I think it's a risky guy to invest in from that perspective. Do you agree with that?
I agree 100%. It's always tough. What do you do with some of these guys that have, I don't know what you say, background issues or personal issues?
From a hockey card perspective, he was a 1958 Topps rookie with the Blackhawks, of course. All-time high sale, pretty big, $87,000 US for a PSA 8, which sold in, you got it, February 2021. So this is kind of interesting. A bunch of secondary market sales after his death was announced. So between January 30th and January 31st, Troy, there were 387 Hull cards sold in the secondary market. First 29 days of January, 320. So 387 in 2 days versus 320 in 29 days.
And I'm guessing we'll see a lot more Bobby Hull cards in the PWCC auctions. They seem to, once there's a death, they seem to pop up.
Okay, moving on. Bo Horvat to the Isles. What was your favorite Bo Horvat Nucks moment? It's over, Johnny.
Yeah, it's definitely over.
Nucks traded Horvat to the Isles for, I guess from a hobby perspective, not much. Maybe for a hockey perspective, okay. Anthony, Bolivier and Antu Ratty, plus a protected number 1 pick. Horvat is a pending UFA unrestricted free agent. He's having a really good year, Troy.
Yep.
So far this season, 31 goals, 23 assists for 54 points in 49 games played. His 2014 Young Gun PSA 10 popped 90. Last sold for 147 on December 16th. So what's crazy is after this trade, nobody went and bought his Young Gun PSA 10.
Well, no hobby love.
Now, and so you could say, well, it's only a pop 90, right? There were only 4 total sales of any Young Gun for Bo Horvat since the trade. I'm guessing Isles fans aren't really excited. How else do you take it? You would expect to, even like when, I wonder, we weren't using Card Ladder at the time, but when the Wild had the big 4th of July signing for Parisi and Suter.
Oh, yeah.
I'm guessing the Minnesota folks would have went bananas for their cards at that point. I don't know. Guess not a lot of excitement around Bo Horvat on Long Island. So the next one is kind of interesting. It's actually not me piling on. I actually read the article and I thought about it and I reflected. It's about Mo Sider. It appeared in The Athletic by Shayna Goldman that talked about Mo Sider and his struggles. So I want to get your opinion on this. As I'm reading this, Troy, when I'm done, I'm going to ask, is this a viable reason as to why he struggled, or if you think it's just a bunch of hubbubaloo? So apparently Mo started the year with a new defensive partner, Ben Sherratt, and the article thinks this might have something to do with his regression. So Sider's played with Sherratt in 61% of his ice time this season, and they've only generated 43% of the expected shots and goal share. So way underperforming expectations. That's not good. I guess over the past month, the Wings have paired Mo now with Jake Wallman, and Sider has played a lot better. So the question then that I was alluding to, Troy, is Do we blame Ben Sherratt for our crappy Mo cider card values? Does Ben owe us money? Where do we redeem it? I mean, can that make a part of me? Now, you're the hockey coach and you know much more about the game than I do. But my intuition tells me that if you're a really, really good player, you're going to rise above whoever they've stuck you with on the blue line. And that's not going to tank your own performance. Now, but maybe, you tell me, can this have that big of an impact?
Well, this is where you hear like great players bring up everyone around them. So maybe there is something to it. But in all honesty, like it could be something. Look at look at the forwards more than the D, but we're always changing lines. We're always juggling things. We're always trying new power play units if things aren't going what we think. And the NHL does that too. We've seen them bounce people all over the place with the Wild and with past regimes. So I there might be something to it, but you've got to get a bigger. Is he with his new partner now? Or is he still with Sherratt?
No, he's with Jake Wallman.
Yeah, so I mean, you're going to have to get some more body of work to see how that's going and look at the analytics there. But there could be something to it, and I don't fault them for trying, like moving him and seeing if that can help spark his game. Sometimes it's just the idea of playing with someone else. You never know.
Chemistry.
It just might spark something in you, and you start playing better.
So I didn't include Mo or any other 2021 or 2022 young guns in our biggest gainers and losers section because it's so hard with the pop count and a lot of them just being graded. But that being said, he is, of course, a 2021 young gun. His PSA 10 popped 1,688 with a 65% gem rate. I've seen 3 sales now around the 79 US range. And it's crazy how far he's fallen, Troy.
Mm-hmm.
So around the 1st of December, this is a $130 card. Start of the season, $265. So that's down 70% since the start of the season. Crazy. But yeah, maybe we'll see if Mo and his new partner, new energy, rested up after the All-Star break. Maybe he'll have a good end to the season. So last bit in hobby news here, Troy, is your guy, Gary Bettman.
Ugh.
Celebrating his 30th year as NHL commissioner. In fact, the very prestigious Sports Business Journal. Seriously, have you ever heard of the Sports Business Journal?
It probably is prestigious because it's got a boring name. All those boring named journals usually are pretty prestigious. So I'll give them credit. They're probably prestigious.
Okay. Well, anyways, they are presenting Bettman with a Lifetime Achievement Award. So my question to you, Troy, is if you were asked to present Bettman at the ceremony to receive this honor, I'm sure the call's coming in a minute, what would you list as his greatest achievements Bettman has made to the NHL that you'll want to include in your speech for this Lifetime Achievement Award?
Oh, we got some good ones. And I will say this, it's kind of funny because I was just reading The Athletic today, and there's an article by Sean McIndoe. I can never get his name right. I'm not even going to try. McIndoe.
McIndoe.
He's also known as Down Goes Brown, but he actually wrote an article, and it was kind of funny that I read that literally right before I started thinking about this. So, Mr. Bettman, here we go. Congratulations on record revenues, but guess what? Every sport has seen record revenues over the past 30 years. So I give him a little credit there. He definitely has righted the ship a little bit financially. However, also, Mr. Bettman, congratulations on overseeing 3 work stoppages. Also, congratulations on overseeing the entire loss of an entire season. Fantastic work there. Congratulations on denying there is any link between concussions and CTE when hockey players are continuously getting hit in the head, and most of the time the repercussions for the offender are pretty small, given what can happen with those continued headshots. Mr. Bettman, you have overseen some continued, we'll call them hockey culture issues that always seem to be addressed on a surface level, but then you just hope they disappear and you never have to talk about them again. And finally, congrats on not finding a way to make hockey a more exciting televised product, even though it is the absolute best sport to watch in person. However, 2 hours ago, an article just came out, and hockey ratings are down huge. So there we go.
I didn't see that. They're down bad?
Yep.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah, I love it. And if you go over like to NHL.com, they're making a huge deal out of all this. It's tough to be too critical because he's their boss. But a lot of brown noses.
Yeah. I mean,
that was a beautiful speech.
Yeah. Well, I do give credit to Batman. The one thing I do enjoy about him is that he just doesn't care he's the villain. Boo him all you want. He thrives off it. He loves it. Like, I think he really enjoys getting up on draft day and just getting booed mercilessly. I just think he does not care. And the owners must love him. So
30 years. That's a...
no.
Okay, we're going to move on to new product releases. Synergy. It's here. It's out. It's been so long since we had a new product release. Like, what, 6 days? It is awesome, though. And we knew this needed to happen. If Upper Deck's going to get caught up, they're going to need to shock and awe shock and awe?
Yeah.
Overwhelm the system. So, of course, because we're degenerates, we went out and got our own little box of Synergy today and opened some packs. We'll have some videos up soon for that. And Troy, what I would tell you, because you were at hockey practice, is that despite the logo does look like an energy drink, right? We'll concede that point, Your Honor. I really like the cards. I was pleasantly surprised. They're very acetate-y, but not like all, like they did a kind of a good job of mixing opaque and transparent and translucent. Wow, look at those big words. Into each of the card designs. And if you go into it with the right expectations, I actually thought it was a really fun rip. There's lots of number cards, of course. Autos are a little bit tougher, although we did get lucky and got one in our box. Maybe that's a little preview to our pack openings. We had a tiny chat about this before we started recording. I don't know what the right word is or how to term it, but to me, this is like it's kind of like OPG paper to me, where it's a fun to open. The cards are interesting. You're generally not disappointed when you open packs, but there's probably nothing in the box that's going to make you rich.
Yeah.
Right? Call it like a fun rip or a PC rip. This is not a box that you try to get an ROI, I don't think, out of, because I don't see a lot of these having huge long-term value. There's only 3 cards in the pack, and it must be because it's all 8 of my packs. The first card is one of their bounty orums. Here's a rookie one. You see, Troy, it's like the red part is the...
Are they called orums? They're not called orums, are they?
No. Like, they're called red...
Like, why would they name artifacts orum in this one also? Like, you're going to confuse everyone. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I just did. They're called red parallel bounties, is their technical name. You have to get 125 codes to redeem, and there's, I think, 2 prizes. I just did the top prize. So the first 5 finishers get a Cast of Greatness complete gold parallel set. I think Cast of Greatness is the big insert chase.
Yep.
Plus a Lucas Raymond Cast for Greatness card, and then a Lucas Raymond Cast for Greatness purple parallel. So what they've been doing Upper Deck in these bounty programs is they've been kind of keeping aside one big rookie and making that, I think, like Artifacts is like Cole. No, it was 2022. Some 2022 rookie. But I think in 2021 Artifacts bounty, Cole Caulfield was one of the big chases or rewards in the bounty program. I don't think anything else that mention about Synergy. Oh, it's pretty cheap. It's like $100 US is what we paid for it. But it is 8 packs and 3 cards a pack. So it's 24 cards. So on a price per card basis, if that's the way you look at it, a little bit spendier there. All right. I'm thinking, and I've been asking around, and the consensus, Troy, is that the next release is Series 2, which is interesting. So I've been checking a few times a day for the checklist to come out, because obviously when these flagship releases come out, it's the most interesting part of the checklist is who are the 50 young guns that appear on there. I wasn't expecting it today. I don't think Upper Deck would kind of kill the Synergy vibe with the checklist, but you would think in the next, 4 or 5 days, if it is going to be released on February 15th, which I wouldn't at this point say is a certainty it comes out February 15th. It may be pushed a little bit, but we'll see. That we should be seeing that checklist soon. So I'm really curious to see who the young guns are going to be. I don't know. Last note on new product releases is, I think in the last couple of days, 2022 Series 1 is now available on ePack. So if ePack's your jam, you can buy individual packs or boxes. That's where you can trade and combine to get the silver foils and speckled rainbow, all that good stuff. So if you want to start working on your Maddie Beniers Young Guns Speckled Rainbow and try to sell it for $6,000, ePack's where you want to go. All right, Troy, we're going to move on to our PWCC weekly preview. Each week, we take a look at a few of the hockey card standouts from Gongshow partner and friend and sponsor PWCC as a part of their current weekly auction. It really gives us the opportunity to highlight some cool cards, do some research, and learn about something new about the hockey card hobby and or players or specific cards or sets. And so I really enjoy this. I know you do too. It also gives us an opportunity to cover both vintage and modern, which is great. Anytime we get vintage in there from a show, I know we consider a bonus. And holy smokes, Troy, there are some bangers in this week's PWCC Weekly. We'll mention this a couple times, but they are doing something new for February with the weekly auctions. Normally, in their extended bidding window, you would have had to have placed a bid in order to qualify for that. They're doing something that's called all access. So when these cards go to the final few minutes and go to that extended bidding, anyone, whether you placed a bid to that point or not, can bid on these cards. And it's kind of like a soft close, I think, format is what they call it, right? Where if you place a bid, it keeps the auction open for a minute or minute and a half or 2 minutes, whatever it is. I think it might de-escalate or something like that. And then eventually, if you place a bid and then nobody else places a bid in the extended window, then you've won the card. If somebody else places a bid, then the clock keeps going, right? So as opposed to like eBay, right, where you can snipe at the last minute, I think this is designed to make sure the card goes to who really wants it the most.
Yeah, I actually really, really appreciate that piece where it gets rid of that sniping element. And again, this is on all February auctions is what I believe is what it is. And so I'm going to send a note to PWCC because on the website at the banner on the top, it actually still has the old extending bid. It starts Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific. You must bid to qualify for extended bidding. I think that probably needs to be updated. So I will send a note off.
As I mentioned, there's a bunch of cool cards, and we're going to start, like we always do, on the vintage side, my area of expertise, now that I have a show with Jeremy Letroy. And I want to start with the 1951 Parkhurst Maurice Rocket Richard PSA 7.5 Pop 4 with 41 graded higher. So I'll tell you, Troy, I have so much more appreciation now for these early Parkhurst cards since our friend and collaborator, Jeremy Lee. Have you ever heard of him, Jeremy? Familiar?
I am.
Okay, good. He did you were there, a 1951 through 63 Parkhurst Hockey Masterclass.
You might not have known it,
show.
But I was there. I swear I was there.
Yeah. If you haven't listened to that one, it's honestly a must. So go back to last episode or last week and give it a listen. And if you liked Jeremy's masterclass, then go back to episode 31, which I think was the end of November, which seems like it's impossible as that long ago, where Sports Card Cartel did a masterclass on 80s OPG. It's brilliant as well. So there's some plugs for those guys there. Okay, back to Rocket Richard. If you were to make a list, let's say of the 10 most iconic hockey cards of all time, I think there's a good chance this one might be on that list.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Not quite Gordie Howe, like from 51, but definitely the number 2 most muy importante card from 51 Parkhurst. This particular card is an absolute beauty. It's very well centered. Color is great. Corners look pretty good. I'm not a grader, but I am a little puzzled how it's only a 7.5. And of course, we say this all the time with PWCC. They have like the best images, super high res. You can zoom in. I inspected this card for about 15 minutes. I went to every little corner and saw a couple tiny little imperfections like you would expect from a card that's 72 years old now. But
I know this is going to be sacrilege, but I'd rather have this card than the Gordie Howe.
Really? Oh, wow. Interesting. Rocket Richard is only an 8-time Stanley Cup champion, Troy. That's it. I do have a question about that, though. So when we have guys like Maurice Rocket Richard, and they've won the Stanley Cup 8 times, right? Is there part of us that has to, I don't know what the word is, but account for the fact that there's only 6
there's
teams?
not a lot of teams. You know what? I think they just let that go because you got to remember, too, with only 6 teams, you're getting the cream of the absolute crop for the players. It's not like now where you could say you got 32 teams, and this is a bad analogy because we know like NHL players are more skillful than they've ever been, but you can see like watering down as you get more teams. So I think just 6 teams, they get the greatest players, the cream of the crop, were on those 6 teams. So I don't think it's that big of an issue.
Okay. He also won the Hart Trophy in 1946-47. Rocket Richard was the first player, Troy, to reach 500 goals in the NHL. And I threw this in there just for you because I thought you could get a kick out of it. Had you ever heard of the Richard Riot?
The name sounded familiar, but I started reading a little bit, and I had no idea what it was.
Richard Riot? I'm just kidding. Richard Riot. So the Richard Riot was on March 17th, 1955, which is St. Patrick's Day, in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. The riot was named after Maurice Richard, the star ice hockey player for the Montreal Canadiens of the NHL. Following a violent altercation on March 13th, in which Richard hit a linesman, NHL President Clarence Campbell suspended him for the remainder of the 1954-55 NHL season, including the playoffs. Montreal fans protested that the suspension was too severe. The team's largely francophone fan base, what is it? Is that like French?
I bet it's it's got to be terminology for French speaking, maybe, or French.
Okay, francophone fan base claimed the length of the suspension was motivated by Richard's French-Canadian ethnicity. Outside of Montreal, however, the suspension was seen as justified and, if anything, too short, right? So on March 17th, Campbell did what any smart guy would do, and you enrage people, show up to the next event, right? Appeared at the Montreal Forum for the Canadiens' first game after Richard's suspension. His presence provoked a riot at the Forum that spilled into the streets. The riot caused an estimated $100,000 in property damage. And again, this is 1955, so probably more than $1 million, I would guess now. 37 injuries and 100 arrests. Tensions eased after Richard made a personal plea accepting his punishment and promising to return the following year to help the team win the Stanley Cup. The incident likely cost Richard the 54-55 scoring title, an honor Richard never achieved in his NHL career, and played a role in the offseason departure of longtime Canadiens coach Dick Irvin. Crazy, huh?
That's pretty nuts.
Suspension.
Hey, just my big takeaway is sports fans were nuts even back in the day.
True. All right, because PSA 7.5 is a rare grade, these cards do not sell very often. Only 2 public sales in the card letter database, and the last one was in 2015 for $5,976 US. All-time high for any graded version of this card is a PSA 8.5, so 1 full grade higher. That sold for $75,000 in July of 2021, so I'm guessing it's going to go for more than $5,900. Any idea what the current bid is right now?
$13,000 US dollars.
Yeah. I mean, this is a big card. This is a big one. So it's gonna go for a lot. All right, Troy, next card we want to look at in this week's PWCC is a 1953 Tim Horton PSA 8 Pop 27 with 5 graded higher. It is a second-year Tim Horton card. Last sale was $1,262 US dollars in April of 2021. All-time high $7,800 in October 2016. It's crazy that the last sale was $1,200, and then 6 years ago or 7 years ago, $7,800. Wonder what happened there.
A lot of money back then.
Must have been a big Timmy Horton fan there. Only 3 sales of this card since 2019. So again, really rare card. If you go look at it on the PWCC website, it's got very, very nice centering. This is a big card. So if you go back to our masterclass series with Jeremy Lee, and he talked about how in 1951 they started teeny tiny with blank backs, and they got a little bit bigger in 52. And I think this is their largest size in 53. It's a painted card, really cool. You have to check it out. And you can see, like, when you on the PWCC website, how it takes up a lot of the holder. And it is actually bigger than I think a modern, what the modern size of the trading cards are. Horton, of course, is a legendary Maple Leafs defenseman, but played 24 seasons in the NHL. I believe 20 of the 24 seasons were with Toronto. He famously, of course, is a co-founder of Tim Hortons coffee shops, which are all over Canada, kind of like Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts. Everywhere we went during the expo, we seemed to see a Tim Hortons, and we picked up some of our Timmy's Upper Deck special Tim Hortons packs while we were there too. Horton is a 4-time Stanley Cup champion. This is interesting, Troy. His number 2 jersey is retired by the Buffalo Sabres. We played his last 2 seasons with for a total of 124 games. It's kind of crazy that they would retire a jersey of a guy that only played 100 or so games with them, huh?
Yeah, there's either more of a story that we don't know about, or that the people in Buffalo or the team really loves Tim Hortons restaurant, so they decided to honor him by retiring his jersey.
Maybe in addition to having good wings, they drink more
there you go.
per capita or something like that. So if there's more of a story there, somebody can message us and let us know. What's the current bid on this one, Troy, again?
$575 US.
All right. Well, the next vintage one you found, and I'll let you cover it.
I did. So when I look for cards, I try to stay away from Gretzky's in this segment unless it is something pretty special or it's just a card I've never seen and I'm interested in learning about it. And that's kind of the case with the card I found. The card I found was a 1983 Vachon Hockey. Wayne Gretzky, number 26, in a BGS 8.5 holder. Now, when I saw the name Vachon Hockey, I had absolutely no idea what that was, if that was a trading card company or what. And when I first searched, I couldn't really find much, but then I went to a trading card database, and they have the set information in there. And actually, a user made a comment, and the user was Save39 on October 9th, 2015. He put a comment giving some background about the set, and we kind of laughed because I'm taking this as the truth. Random internet comment. I am saying this is the gospel. And actually, I'll have more in a little bit, but I just want to read what he put. He said, Montreal-based and then Culinaire-owned Vachon Bakery has been producing a very popular line of packaged snack cakes sold in boxes of usually 6 or more. For the 1983-84 season, Vachon issued cards featuring players from every Canadian-based NHL team. While most would cut to split them, the cards came in sheets of 2 cards, one on top of the other, featuring players from different teams. The cards were inserted into specially marked boxes of Vachon snack cakes. Although very popular, it's the only known Vachon set. Although sister company Stewart would issue Montreal Expos baseball team sets in 1983 and 84. Okay, a lot of information, pretty cool. Sounds like the guy knows what he's talking about. But then, in my never-ending quest for knowledge, I found more information. I actually found info on Beckett's website. So, whatever I've said about Beckett's website in the past, I actually did find some useful information on it.
You put an OT on this one, Troy. You went deep.
I did. I went deep on this set because I just didn't know about it. And then when I said it was a Vachon Bakery, I was all intrigued. So what Beckett had, it said, this set of 140 standard-sized cards was issued by Vachon Foods as panels of 2 cards. The set includes players from the 7 Canadian NHL teams. The cards were also available as a set directly from Vachon. The first printing contained an error in that number 96 pictures Peter, and I'm not going to begin to pronounce his last name, Ihnacek, instead of Walt Podub. Oh boy, I really need to work on my names. Poddubny.
Podubny.
So, Podubny, there we go. Had a wrong picture, basically. The error was corrected for the second printing. The card backs are written in French and English. The Vachon logo is on the front of every card in the lower right. The set is difficult to collect in uncut panels of 2. There you go. This is everything you wanted to know about Vachon hockey cards from 1983. Okay, we got the background. Now, obviously, this card is of Wayne Gretzky, so I believe there should be some interest. Card looks really cool. It's got Gretzky in an all-white Oilers uni. Love the little Baker logo on the bottom right, the little Vachon Bakery guy. But what's interesting is the card has a rounded out section where the Oilers logo is on the top left. Now, while an interesting design feature, what really stood out, it looks very similar to another mid-'80s design. The 1985 OPC design looks pretty similar. So I'm curious, did the 85 OPC kind of borrow from this 83 Vachon set because it has the same kind of rounded out section at the top with the team logo for the card or for the team on the same little rounded out section. It's pretty interesting.
Huh.
Just they flipped where they put it. It's on like the left side versus the right. All right. From a value perspective, a BGS 8.5 copy of this card sold on December 17th, 2022 on eBay for $134.62. And then the last sale I could find before that one was October 6th, 2021 for $73. So again, not going to break the bank probably, but just a really cool card. And once again, I'm using that word completionist. This is a card you might not see pop up that often, especially in a graded copy. And right now, the current bid is $11 US.
Ooh, might have to get in on that one. I like wacky kind of, not wacky, but just more oddball kind of stuff like that.
Yep.
So, all right, a couple modern cards or more modern we want to highlight. First one that stood out to me, Troy, is the 1996 Black Diamond Joe Thornton PSA 10. I think most Thornton collectors see this as his true rookie. PSA 10 pop count is pretty small, with only 6. So if you're a Thornton fan and collector, this would be a big sale to really go after. It's a base card. There was a gold parallel out of 52. Over his career, Thornton amassed 430 goals and 1,109 assists for 1,539 points, which is 12th most ever by an NHL player. Would you have guessed Thornton as 12th in the all-time scoring list?
No, I would never.
Played for 23 years, won the Hart and Art Ross trophies, had back-to-back 90-plus assist seasons, Troy. The only other players to ever do that were a guy named Wayne and a guy named Mario. Pretty crazy. He might have the wackiest beard ever, too, in NHL history.
Him and Brent Burns.
Brent Burns. Yeah, who'd win in a beard competition?
Yeah, teammate beards. And this is nuts. This was not planned at all, people. I'm going to say this. Remember what we've said about Thornton here on it and his assist. Assist machine, over 1,000. Remember that when it comes to mailbag time.
Okay. Making a note here. All-time high sale for this card was $3,150 US in June of 2021 via the PWCC weekly auction, which was also the last sale. Again, Pop 6, so not going to come up for sale very often. What's the current bid on this one?
$43 US.
Dude, I'm in. Okay, next one is the 1997 Sign of the Times Wayne Gretzky auto PSA authentic with the auto grade of 10. So the card is authentic. The auto is a 10 grade. Love the look of this card. It's got Wayne in a Rangers jersey, and the card's kind of has a red border, so really nice color match there. Design is super clean. I tend to prefer more clean design cards. I kind of feel like, Troy, the mid to late 90s inserts are really gaining steam.
Mm-hmm. They are definitely gaining steam, and I think at some point a masterclass needs to be done on 90s inserts.
Already have a target there. There is some minor corner issues and a little off center. Maybe that's why they didn't get it graded, but the card still does present really well. I'm guessing that's, maybe because of the damage, whoever submitted it to PSA chose just to authenticate the card and not have it graded. And again, the card itself is authenticated, so it means that there's the year and card name are on the label. What we're seeing now with some PSA slabs is that you can choose only to have the auto graded and not even the card authenticated. So it'll have a card that'll say trading card, which drives me crazy. I don't like that.
We brought that up, I think, a couple weeks ago because I was just confused as all get out. Why does this thing say trading card? But now you know.
So it does say 1997 SP Authentic Sign of the Times. So that's good. But if you're buying, Troy, does it matter to you, like buying an auto like this, that the card isn't graded and just authentic, or would you rather have the card graded?
I personally would probably rather have the card graded, but this one I think is cool because it does look good. It looks really nice. At least you know it's authentic. I would still probably I'd probably still want the graded card.
And the auto is a 10. The auto is crazy beautiful.
Auto's great. The auto is like perfect.
Mm-hmm. It's not numbered, so that's kind of interesting too. But there have been 43 secondary market sales going back to March of 2004. This is where Card Ladder is just awesome, right?
Yeah.
They literally have a sale from 18 years ago.
Yeah.
Or 2004. Yeah, 19 years ago now, which is just nutty to think about. Link in our show description if you guys want to sign up for Card Ladder. We'll plug there. All-time high was $570 for PSA 10 or PSA 8 with an auto grade 10 back in March 2022. I don't think there's another authentic auto 10, so hard to do a comparison there.
Yeah.
So again, this is another one too that mid-90s, mid-late 90s Gretzky SP Authentic Auto for probably right around $500, $600, $700. I'm guessing where it'll finish. But what's the bid at now?
$240.
All right, and then you have the last kind of modern card.
I do.
PWCC Weekly.
I do. So the last one I looked at was a 2006 SP Game Used Fabrics 5s that features Sidney Crosby, Alexander Ovechkin, Rick Nash, Ilya Kovalchuk, and Rick DiPietro. Obviously, it has 5 patches. It's out of 8. and it's a CGS 10. So there's no autos on this. Remember that. It's just 5 patches, 5 pictures of the players. All the patches are one color for each player. So there's not like one player doesn't have a 2-color patch or anything. They're all one color patches. There's 3 players pictured on the front of the card and 2 players on the back, which if I count, I don't know if that bothers me or not. I think it's kind of weird that there's 3 on the front that have smaller pictures than the 2 on the back. It's graded CSG 10, which I think is a really great grade for a patch card. And like we said, CSG is a good grader. They've been around for a while. They're, I think, respected and trusted.
Oh, tough grader,
Yeah, tough grader for sure. And so I think you have no worries there. I actually wanted to bring this one up because I always find these cards very interesting where on the card you have 2 surefire Hall of Famers, right? You got Crosby and Ovechkin. And then you have 2 players where you could probably make some arguments they should make the Hall, like Nash and Kovalchuk. And then you have DiPietro, who is a goalie he was a number 1 overall pick, but in almost, I don't know, a lot of the biggest draft bust of all time, his name's on there. So you got 2 surefire Hall of Famers, 2 maybe Hall of Famers, and 1 draft bust. And I was just curious, like, do you think this card would go for more if it was just Ovechkin and Crosby on there with their patches?
I don't know. It depends. A lot of times these are themed.
I'm trying to think in my head what theme this would be.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I was thinking too. Like, because there was a Russian one that had a bunch of guys, from Russia.
Maybe was this the same draft class? Maybe. Crosby, Nash, Kovalchuk, and DiPietro isn't. I don't think he was. They were 2005, right? Was that Crosby and?
0506, yeah.
Yeah, let me look up DiPietro real quick. He doesn't seem that old, is he?
I bet he is.
Yeah, he might be.
I think you're right. I think you should trust your instincts more, Troy.
Trust my instinct. Oh no, he was 2000 NHL entry draft.
Oh. No, you suck. You're always wrong. Never trust your instincts.
You're terrible. Oh, okay, we're going down a rabbit hole. Josh, guess who the number 2 draft pick in the 2000 NHL entry draft was?
Henrik Zetterberg?
Nope, Danny Heatley.
Heater.
Number 3, Marion Gaborik. All right, enough of that. All right, sorry. I got off track. I get
yeah, we're so far. Cool card. Well, what's it worth?
I could not find any previous sales of this exact card.
A beautiful mystery.
Beautiful mystery.
Right, so you can check out the cards we just mentioned.
Oh, hold on.
Oh,
Current bid. $60 US.
All right.
All right.
As I was saying, you can check out these cards and a bunch of other amazing hockey ones at this week's PWCC weekly auction at pwccmarketplace.com. And just to reiterate again, the big kind of announcement and special for deal or trial for February is the extended bidding. They're calling it all access is open to anybody, whether you've placed a bid prior to the extended bidding period or not. You can go in and pick up these beauties. Okay, Troy, it's that time of the week. Listener mailbag. Some good questions. You went deep on a number of these. Love to see it. First question from Gongshow Discord, MKE Breaks. Who do you think should get their own hat trick? For example, the Gordie Howe hat trick, etc. What should be next? I'm just going to let you roll because
I had a lot of fun.
This got the passion out of you.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. Okay, so my first thing is Josh wants to anoint this new Alexander Ovechkin hat trick, which is a goal, an assist, and an empty net goal.
I think it already is a thing, isn't it? Like,
is it? Well, see, yeah, we'll get to that. I'm
declaring it a thing.
So it's going to be like the Alexander Ovechkin Part B hat trick. We'll call it that.
Should we make a Wikipedia entry? Can we do that?
Oh, I'm sure someone would find it, though. They'd get notified right away, like some big Wikipedia editor. And fix
the Ovechkin hat trick, a goal, an assist, and an empty net goal, coined by 2 idiots that have a Hockey Cards podcast.
Yeah, so that's Josh's big one. So then I started thinking it. I'm not great at this stuff, but I just kind of chuckled because I want the Marc-Andre Fleury hat trick.
This one is brilliant.
So this is my Marc-Andre Fleury hat trick. It is, the first part is one completely over-exaggerated glove save. He does it all the time. You've seen it, like the shot might go right into his glove, but then he does the big windmill after, and it makes it look just like it was
like the ole.
Yeah,
like
the ole save. So that's the first part. That's the first part of this hat trick. Second part, he needs to have 3 saves by Fleury, where he turns to look and see if the puck went in the net behind him. There's always one per game, so we need to have 3 to complete the second part of this hat trick. All right. Makes sense?
Yeah.
All right. And then finally, 1 goal scored on Fleury where he is wildly out of position. Do all 3 of those, and that's the Fleury hat trick that I came up with. Now,
how many of those would he have? Like 800?
I don't know. And we kid, but it's kind of fun when you watch him. Like, we've had people comment to us, too, after we kind of mentioned stuff on him. Like, you know what? He does do a lot of that stuff. All right, so besides the Fleury hat trick and Josh's, we're going to call it Alexander Ovechkin Part B hat trick, I actually started doing some research because I wanted to know.
Wait. Why is mine mine was
just
original?
Listen. No, we're getting to it. Okay. So I did more research because I wanted to know what else is out there. And I found a 2009 Bleacher Report article by Sergei Zhikov. Now, I am not a Bleacher Report fan at all, but this article is kind of good. And some of these hat tricks I have heard of. So I just wanted to bring all these up, but some of these I think are made up too, but I don't know if they can be credited to the author of this article or maybe he's just repeating, but I want to read some of these. So we have the Mario Lemieux hat trick. So obviously Lemieux, one of the greatest players to ever play in the NHL, very well-rounded. He was always on the ice in any situation. So the Lemieux hat trick is an even strength goal, a power play goal, and a shorthanded goal. Great. I love it.
I could buy. I think that's very fitting.
Now, remember when I talked about Joe Thornton and remembering him? Here we go. The Joe Thornton hat trick. You need a good partner for this hoedown. Get 3 assists, and you've got yourself a Thornton hat trick because you know you can't put the puck in the net yourself. The assist is all you get, and maybe some celebratory hats. Perfect. Joe Thornton.
He did score. Hold on, though. He did score 430
but he
goals.
had 1,100 assists.
Well, sure, but
this is all fun. You're getting too serious.
That's all. I'm getting emotional about Joe Thornton.
Here it is. The original Alexander Ovechkin.
I think this is BS. I think mine's the original, and I'm going to protest before I even hear it.
All right,
and
the
if
original
it's better than
one,
mine, I'm going to be really mad.
The original one is you score 2 goals in regulation and add another in the shootout. You've got yourself the Ovi hat trick.
That's dumb. Empty net is so much better.
All right, here we go. The Alexander Semyon hat trick. Not to be confused at all with the Ovechkin trick. The Semyon hat trick doesn't require you to give as much effort, especially on defense. Score 2 goals and pretend like it's easier than walking. Then take a lazy hooking penalty. While your teammates are killing your 2 minutes in the sin bin, make sure to look around as if you're still confused why you're in the box.
Okay, that was funny.
I love that. That was funny. And then finally, the Dave Schultz hat trick. Every team needs a tough guy, and Schultz led the league in penalty minutes 5 different times. So what other way could there be? A minor penalty, fighting major, and a game misconduct should do it. As you walk down the tunnel and the crowd fires hats onto the ice, make sure to give the opposing fans the 1-finger salute. There we go.
That's awesome.
I love it.
Right.
I love that question.
See, you ask a question and you get deep analysis like that.
You get me going off the rails.
All right, next question from Gongshow Discord and Irish Flyers Collector. Do you feel if when a player is no longer on the team that he's featured on his Young Guns card, does this lose a little value? Perhaps there might be slight or immediate spike from fans in the new city looking to acquire the card, but what about the long-term value? I just put maybe a little. It's definitely not hurting like Tage Thompson, who's in a Blues jersey in his current Young Guns card. I think that, to me, like the 2 most predictable indicators of increased value are, number 1, by a bullet, how well a player plays and how many goals he scores. And then secondly, I think it's more important the market he goes to. Like if you go to, like a great example is Tkachuk, right? Even though he's playing pretty well, Matt Tkachuk, if he had gone to Chicago, other than Florida, I think that we might see a little bit of more of a bump, and it doesn't matter so much he's in a Calgary jersey on the card.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I said maybe. I don't know. I go, it's never really bothered me, and obviously I think it's more driven by how the player's performing. I don't see it as being that big a deal, but.
Okay, next from Instagram, just Hockey Cards. Why does Upper Deck keep making rookie cards for guys who've been in the league for years? I saw recently someone pull an Ovechkin rookie from the new 2022 artifacts, and it just ticks me off for some reason. Use a different word, but it's a family show, so I said ticks. I agree, it is weird. And the card he's referencing, by the way, is a 0506 clear-cut retro rookie. I don't understand. I wouldn't want a Ovechkin rookie from 2022.
Yeah, I'm 100% on board. I'm not a big fan of it. I get why they do it, but I'm not a fan of it, and I don't want it. So,
all right, next question from Independence Hockey Guy. Do you think Erik Karlsson should be in the talk for the Norris as a minus defenseman? Okay, Troy. This one, another one that made you emotional in a good way.
Yeah, I ranted on this, but I kind of want to take a step back. I maybe don't need to read all this because it's a lot of wordage. Let's just say we've on the show. Let me answer the question. Yes, he should be in the consideration. I think from now on, there really needs to be a discussion in the NHL about getting rid of plus minus. We've talked about on the show how it's not a good stat. It's kind of worthless. You can find enough analysis. Go to Hockey Graphs, just search for plus minus stat, and there's a bunch of articles on why it is not that really useful. And I think it's time to get rid of it. If you start looking, you start digging into it on how it kind of arbitrarily chooses to exclude some goals and not others. It's really goofy. It is a goofy stat that doesn't make much sense. And at the end of the day, you're punished for playing more. And some guys that are not that good, who don't play that often, they're not going to get punished by this statistic. It is not a good statistic. You can tell it's not a good statistic because even the NHL knows it's not a good statistic. Like a ton of general managers have tried to get it removed. And of course, Bettman hasn't gave in yet. And even back in the 60s, this stat, they kind of realized pretty quick that it wasn't that useful. But then before they kind of made that announcement, contracts, bonuses and stuff started to get tied to it. And so that's kind of let it hang out a little bit longer than it should. And then you have, I lost my train of thought on something. But anyways, just do the research. The stat is not that good. It's not that useful, and I will be the first one to admit in the past I've probably used it on some guys to say, oh, look at this. But if you go to Hockey Graphs and read their article about it, it just kind of tears it to shreds.
I think when you use it, you usually couch it with the disclaimer.
Yeah.
So I have kind of this is not related to plus minus, but just kind of a fun hockey stat little story for you. So like a week or maybe a little bit more ago, the Wild had a great game against the Philadelphia Flyers.
Mm-hmm.
Went to overtime, and in the shootout, Matt Zuccarello scores the game-winning shootout goal. No, an overtime goal. It was an overtime goal. It's not shootout. And he was being interviewed during the Wild postgame. I think former player Ryan Carter was talking to him, and he was talking about Zuccarello kind of went up the whole ice real fast and kind of got through the defense. And what the funny part about it is that in a kind of a joking manner, he referenced to Carter that he wasn't necessarily trying to score. He's trying to get his Corsi 4 numbers up. Which tells you, right, that's a big metric that they're all... Well, teams are probably using that to justify paying or not paying during contract situations.
Oh, we can get inside baseball right now. I love this. Okay, I'm going to tell a little secret that some people might not know. If you, and I've probably mentioned this on a show before, if you want to get paid what you want in the NHL, you have to hire your own stat guy for you personally when it comes to contract negotiations. Because guess what? The team's going to come in with a pile of stats that will probably be used to not give you as much as you want. And if you come in with your pile of stats, you at least have some ammo. And there's a guy, Jack Hahn. He was a Toronto Maple Leafs assistant. Jack Hahn. Yeah. No, he was a Toronto assistant. He's Toronto Marlies. He does a ton of analytics work. And he talks about this, like how these players now come to contract negotiations, or the agents do. They're armed with just as many stats as the organization. So
I'm sure they have big time, like the big agencies have big analytics departments and stuff like that.
Hey, it's a great question. But yes, I think Karlsson should be definitely in the running for the Norris Trophy.
All right, next question. Instagram, Jedi Master Grant. Do you notice a pattern that when players go to different teams, their values decline? Does not apply to all players, but many. Kind of related to the other question, I don't think that I think it's more how they play.
Yeah.
And in what market they go to. I'm being repetitive, but.
Yeah, you might see a bump, though, if they get traded mid-season to a playoff contender, maybe, from not a playoff contender. I don't know, maybe a small bump or something like that. But, yeah, I think it's all around performance.
All right, next question from Instagram, Hockey Card Store. If you got to pick one card to put yourself on, if you made the NHL, which card would you pick and why? All right, Troy, go ahead.
I love this question. All right, so I said if I'm just choosing a type of card, I need to have my Young Guns. I want to have a Young Guns so I can frame it or put it in a slab, put it up on my wall, say, hey, I made it. I made the NHL. I played one game as an e-bug. Here's my Young Guns. However, and I said I might be bending the spirit of this question a little bit, but I wonder if I could get a Young Guns, but made in the style of the 1983 OPG set because I love that design. And then I would want my picture to be in my goalie pads, resembling the Pelle Lindbergh card. Same pose, same dingy, dark-looking arena, totally early 80s hockey vibe. That's what I would do. I need to make that happen.
Kind of being a diva about this draft. So are we thinking that there's a chance we're still going to make it to the NHL? Should I be really serious about how I need to start working out more or what?
Here's my question. What age did you just kind of realize you weren't going to be a professional athlete?
Yeah, like 4. I would go with the exquisite RPA because I just love exquisite. So
there you go.
All right, next question. Instagram, Hockey and Cards. Why is Henrik Zetterberg Young Guns worth more than the Future Watch Auto? This is a great question. It was fun to look up. Zetterberg is a 2002 Young Gun. His PSA 10 is pop 95. Very low pop, probably very low number produced. I'm not an expert on this, so I'm just doing some inferring here. Where the Future Watch Auto, of course, is out of $9.99. So the current value of a Pop 95 2002 Zetterberg Young Gun PSA 10 Troy is about $758. Couldn't find a Future Watch Auto PSA 10, but a raw is $102. Pretty stark difference. And where this gets even crazier, if again it's raw, but if you do the Future Watch Auto patch out of 100, that last sold for $510. And again, his Young Gun PSA 10 $758. So that it just must be the card of choice for Henrik Zetterberg collectors. All right, next question from Wax the Ripper. 2-part goaltending question for Troy. Well, you get a lot of love in Mailbag, Troy.
I have a fan club, I guess.
Why do goaltenders traditionally take longer to develop than skaters? And what key attributes separate an elite level goaltender from the average one?
Like I promise, I'm not planting these questions.
This question is from Troy's mom.
Yeah, this is me writing in. Hey, watch this. All right, let's go. I'm going to try to keep this short. However, we could have a whole podcast on this question if we wanted to. But I'll try to simplify on why goalies take longer to develop and then some key attributes. So if we think about goalies just in general and what the options are once you get to the NHL, you have 32 starting positions in the NHL, basically 64 goalie roster spots on NHL teams. There's your first clue. There's not a lot of options. And a lot of teams, when you come in as a rookie, they've had established goalies. And then unlike skaters, who usually can get playing time, right? You can see how they fare. You can put them out there, give them 6 minutes a night. Then you send them to the Shane Wright press box for a little bit. But then you want to see them again, you can send them back out for 6 to 10 minutes. It's different for goalies as coaches really are finagly about goalies and they need full confidence in them. And you're not really going to send a goalie out to play 10 minutes of a game just to see what they can do. It's got to be a whole game. And in the NHL, a loss is a loss and it can affect coaching and a whole bunch of stuff. So it takes a while to build a level of trust to get into a rotation in the NHL. Skaters can make mistakes. They have more of an opportunity to get bailed out. A goalie makes a mistake and the puck's usually in the net.
Last line of defense, Troy. Last line of defense.
Yep. And it's also, I this is me kind of inferring some stuff, but it's also a function of just how intensely technical the nature of being a goalie, the position is now. And the fact that the experience is accumulated to a different pace than physical aging occurs. I hope that makes sense. There's no need to rush young goalies because what you do when you rush a young goalie, if they're not ready, is you destroy their confidence. And I think goalies can get their confidence destroyed a lot quicker than a skater because, again, you talk about when you screw up, it's a goal usually. And at no point in the history of the game have goalies been expected to be more athletic than right now. They are incredible athletes, but the stuff they learn, they keep learning as they're 22, 23, 24, 25, still getting stronger, gaining more muscle. It's not easy to be an 18-year-old goalie and come into the NHL. You're still growing physically, and you don't have everything in your toolbox that you need, usually. And we know there's some guys that have been successful young. And so it's a very demanding position now, and I think that leads to goalies being older as they progress with their physical strength and doing those more elite technical skills. All right, I'm out of breath. My mouth is dry. Does that make sense?
You're crying, which is weird.
I'm crying. I'm crying. All right. Then the key attributes that separate elite goalies. Again, I tried to keep this pretty quick. Or pretty, I don't know, simple, quick. So basically, I said there's 3 things a goalie needs to do when there's going to be a shot. They need to be square, they need to be on angle, and they have to have correct depth. Elite goalies can do all 3 of these things in fractions of a second. And when I say square, I mean square to the puck. You're not turned looking in the corner as the puck comes and hits you in the side of the face. Being on angle, obviously being on angle of the shot, and then correct depth, not being too deep, being out far enough to take away the net. So they can do this stuff in fractions of a second. All 3 of those things, they process, they go through it, and they get in the right position. And they're mostly in the correct position to make a save. And basically half the battle is just being in the correct position before a shot is even made. All right, goalies also need quick, and I said quick, quiet movements. You need to be quick, obviously. We see that all the time with goalies. But they also need to be quiet and minimize excess movements. By doing this...
Would you say Marc-Andre Fleury is quiet?
Man, Fleury is he's an anomaly. Think about Hasek, too. Hasek is just, I'm going to read this and you're like, wow, Hasek was a good goalie. Yes, he was. He definitely was the antithesis of this argument.
Antithesis? Or he's the exception, not the norm.
Yeah. But think about Sorokin and how he moves so quick, so quiet. He doesn't have excess movements because what happens if goalies are moving and you see like their shoulders go up or down and bounce, that stuff takes away. That adds fractions of a second to making a save. And in the NHL where speed is everything, it's just another variable that works against them. Then I put beating passes and reading all the information available on the ice. Elite goalies can beat passes and be ready for the shot. They see what else is going on because sometimes the biggest threat is not the guy with the puck. It's the guy, standing on your back door that you might not be aware of. And elite goalies can recognize all that stuff. There's a concept called the Royal Road. Look it up. I've talked about it before. It's a line that runs right down the middle of the ice. And if you can get a goalie or a pass before a shot to move over this Royal Road, you can actually increase your scoring exponentially. And good goalies, that's why you need to beat passes and read what's going on. Last thing, vision. NHL goaltenders have some of the most elite vision test scores in the world. Like the stuff they do and all the vision training they go through. And there's a concept called the quiet eye. And I think this started in cricket where they started testing this. But when a goalie makes a save, they've actually proven that they don't actually watch the puck. They don't actually see the puck come into them. They take all the information that they can basically process before the shot is taken. So they look at the stick angle, the type of shot, the body position, 40 other different things. And as that shot hit, their brain calculates where the puck's going, and that's where they make the save. It's a really unique thing and a concept, but elite goalies have the vision and the mental capacity to process all this stuff in, again, fractions of a second. Okay.
Wow.
There you go.
Troy, very impressive. You've made the Gong Show proud. You mentioned Sorokin. I heard a kind of a crazy stat about him today. Just wanted to throw in.
Sure.
Now that I have the opportunity. So
I can talk. I'm done talking.
Now that you've sucked all the air out of the universe. For goalies with 100 starts or more, he has the highest shutout percentage ever. Something like 12.5% of the starts. That's pretty good.
That's cool.
All right. Next question. Gong Show Discord Spencer. I'm curious if you guys collect other hockey sports memorabilia. If you do you have any favorite items in that collection worth mentioning?
Oh, boy.
Sincere.
Oh, boy. I went down another rabbit hole with this one. And I think then I kind of remember, when I was doing my answer, I misread the question a little bit. However, for hockey, I collect just cards. I don't do pucks, jerseys. But then I was like, oh, wait, I actually still have it. I do have a Ménome Rayon poster that hung on my wall as a kid. So I guess that's my one piece of hockey memorabilia that's not cards. I have a poster.
You know what poster I had?
Which one?
Not a Rayon poster. But do you remember the Alyssa Milano poster in the New Jersey Devils jersey holding the hockey stick?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's what I had in my room.
I think back and I just crack up because in my locker I'd have Jennifer Capriati, in my middle school locker, Jennifer Capriati, the tennis player, when she was big.
Yep.
I guess I liked women.
B. Arthur in your locker.
I don't know what's going on. All right,
hey, Golden Girls.
We just diverted on a tangent. Okay, back to what I collect. I do collect other cards as well, like card categories. I said I like WWE, NXT. I like baseball cards, non-sports cards, which are stuff like X-Files, Marvel, Warehouse 13, Eureka, Parks and Rec, anything, Clerks, Kevin Smith. I also collect action figures or statues, again, from Warehouse 13, Clerks, Mallrats, X-Files, etc. I have some Oasis Funko Pops, because they're my favorite band. I'm sure someone will tell me they're the worst ever. I also collect comic books, raw and graded, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Boys, Spider-Man, Carnage, Venom, all that fun stuff. And I really like how comic books are they're almost becoming trading cards now. They have variant covers. They have numbered covers. They have parallels. They have foils. So it's just it's kind of interesting to see that stuff kind of grow.
Well, you're a man of many collections.
I'm a man of... Oh, I got vinyl records, too. I already talked about them. Yeah.
Spencer, I'll answer it. I don't really collect anything other hockey memorabilia. I think we had a couple. We used to have season tickets to the Wild with Troy's family, and we'd go to different events for season ticket holders and get our kids like mini helmets or those are floating around our house somewhere. But no, I don't really collect anything other than cards. Those are my passion. All right. Next question from Instagram, HOF Hockey Cards. Most surprising, quote unquote, can't miss prospect that didn't meet expectations. So the more I think about this, it's most can't miss prospects that don't meet expectations. Yeah. It's actually the very few that do that become the Connor McDavid. But if you want to know, I guess, my opinion on the biggest bombs, it would, of most recent memory, Laffy is the one that just keeps coming to mind, even though people can't seem to quit him. I think going into what you'll talk about, Troy, is even going into Bedard. There's no guarantee that Bedard is going to be amazing.
Yeah. I just said my first can't miss prospect ever is going to be Connor Bedard. So you heard it here. Can't miss, I guess. I'm saying it. Yeah. I probably just...
All right, last question from Instagram, Viva Cards. Why do Fox and Makar, et cetera, Future Watch Autos go for so much more than Victor Hedman among other players of the same caliber? I just said because they're younger and they have more hype. We tend to reward and invest more in potential than we do in actual results. We always seem to be mesmerized by what could be versus appreciating what's already happened, right? Troy, I'm sure it'll be a couple years from now when people will be saying, why is so-and-so worth more than Adam Fox, right? That's just the nature of the beast, because Fox and Carr are still more on that potential side of the spectrum than Hedman is at this point. Anything to add to that?
No, it's, we talked about it a little too on like the hobby and how it only supports so many players in those, I don't know what you want to call it, super valuable classes. I don't know. I'm not getting the right word out, but we've kind of talked about this on previous shows. But yeah, I agree.
All right, that is the show for today. If you like the episode, please leave a rating, review on Apple, Spotify, or whatever podcast app you listen to us on. If you love the show, and with all the knowledge Troy dropped today for free, maybe you could consider a $5 a month Patreon donation. Join our Auto 99 support level tier. Be very grateful for that. Link is in the show description. You go to hockeycardsgongshow.com, or you go to the Patreon website, patreon.com, search for Hockey Cards Gong Show, or our link tree within our Instagram or TikTok profile. And for $5 a month, join the Auto 99 support level tier. Get access to the Gong Show Discord. If you're not following us on social media, go to Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. Search for Hockey Cards Gong Show and follow us there. And Troy, the Hockey Cards Gong Show podcast is a production of Dollar Box Ventures LLC.